You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's not, yeah, that's it. Yeah. Sure. Well, anyway.
Hey, if I don't see you, if I see you around, I'll work with your next week. Good luck with
How
your
crowded was it in there?
meeting.
Okay. Yeah, so I got me third week, I'm surprised. There's that card. There was a table out there of 8 people.
Yeah.
You gotta sign this.
Yours
Yeah.
is the date, it's gonna be absent, so we're good.
I think the most notable thing about that old wooden cooler. Really keep that around. And then I'll be-
My pleasure at this time to bring to order the final for 2021 Agriculture Committee meeting. This morning, we will start out immediately with Eric Stabilization, who's our county forester. And he has, if you would, please come to, yes, that's a big help. You can take your mask off of here, much better that way.
Actually, you have some news, that if you don't mind, if you're good to stand there with your mask on. And so would you.
Is that what it means?
You know what?
Well, good morning. As always, I appreciate the opportunity to come before the board here to talk about the county's reforestation ownership. Anybody that doesn't know, it's the ownership is 4 parcels in all, with nearly over 720 some acres of ownership between the 4. What I'm here to talk about is the update to the forest management plan. It's hard to believe that it's been 10 years since we've started this program. But at that point in time, after 10 years, it's proven to reevaluate the forest, take a look at what has been done, what can be done in the future to continue along the goals and objectives set forth by the county on the ownership. And so that's what was taking place here this past fall. It included data collection and all the properties and all the stands. And what I provided in front of you is really what the synopsis of what this is. Okay, what we look at, and don't get me wrong, it's good reading, but I don't think you want me to sit here and read the whole thing for the next whatever long it will take. So part of the synopsis of the work schedule or the new updated work schedule. The understanding to talk about since the program started in 2011, we've taken on numerous projects on all parcels, almost to the point of nearly 20 different projects, from herbicide applications to control undesirables and invasive species, to timber stand improvements where just non-commercial fittings and younger crops with younger trees, to selection harvests that included management of poor quality, diseased and over mature material, with the understanding of capitalizing on material prior to their economic loss. That equated, and Cheryl over time is, and I didn't put it in the plan because it's been done before, but Cheryl took a look over time about what was been generated for the county and funds over time, and it's been quite substantial. But there's obviously been an intensive putting that money back per se into the ownership to help in its management. And that is really what this update found, is that the work that's been done has been spectacular. Is everything working out as hoped? Well, that's never the case when it comes to managing trees, but we did have to do some things that we didn't really want to do due to disease issues like emerald ash borer, That required us to go back into some of these stands earlier than envisioned, due to the fact that they were dying. So that's kind of, set some things in motion that were unexpected, but that's why you have a plan. The plan looks and understands the ownership, what's on it, and how to manage it depending on what issues become relevant at that point in time. So looking at the schedule, so really, to understand what's on the schedule is really the stuff that was done in the beginning part of the original plan. So anything like 2011 through 2012 and 2013. Those individual stands that didn't have to go back into them again due to the issues that I just mentioned. Those stands are now coming ready to be worked in again. The first one of the first ones we did was on Poplar Tree Road. It's the largest stand. And if you look at what I provided, the top page is the work schedule, but then there's actually maps behind it that I've kind of drawn in what's active and what's going to be scheduled for work. At least proposed to be done at this point in time. But really, everything we've done is becoming pretty much full circle. We're looking at going back into the stands to work on that same criteria of improving health and quality of the forest, through timber.
Let me see, sometime we probably can, I have to fit it in because Pioneer's not open today, they got theirs all fixed, so I gotta take mine up. So I'm gonna do that first thing tomorrow morning, we're gonna load mine on the truck here after lunch. And, I'm gonna run over there at 9 o'clock in the morning. Then I have to be back because, I have to be down in town building at 11 because I have, internet people coming to put internet in down there. So, right after that,
Please continue.
I thought that was a question to answer.
You get nervous.
He must be multitasking.
Yeah, gotcha. So back to what I said, as far as the work schedule, we're looking at getting back to these areas that were worked in originally. Keeping it the same consideration of improving the health and quality of the forest. What was one of the goals and objectives of the county, which was also wildlife enhancements, erosion control, educational and recreational opportunities. All those factors were, included and thought of during the development of the new plan. And I think this provides a good idea as to where to take the ownership, forward. This is, as I said, continuing on with the good work that's been done in the previous 10 years. Now, what's been scheduled and what you'll see here is that we do have 2 projects that have been sold and still active, both on Hobby Road and Poplar Tree Road. Those sales are probably, if you remember, we provided extensions due to the weather situation. They started it again this fall with just couldn't go very long. Bottom line, it came to a point that we just could not get the conditions to warrant working, so they started and then stopped. And the hope is to get back onto them here in the next, 2 or 3 months when things get better outside as far as maybe some frozen ground conditions. Also, what we've looked at in the plan is to re-identify the boundary lines on the ownership. That was a major undertaking as far as the original plan, to identify them and paint them. It's been 10 years since that has been done. The timing of doing something like that would be now again because it's simpler and, I'll be honest with you, extremely less expensive to do it now while it's still very evident in the field, but it's beginning to fade. The paint's beginning to fade, which is the norm up to about 10 years. So that's scheduled to be adjusted again. And you'll see that within that information that I provided. The reds are the cost-based treatments. The blacks are the income generating opportunities. Because of the fact that we still have ongoing projects in both those parcels mentioned, I think it's the best situation to let those projects run out, the spreads run their course as far as completion before exploring too much. Because you would actually be working on, the same parcel that's already got an active operation going on. So the thought would be to look at, doing the work towards this coming fall as far as the commercial sale there scheduled on Poplar Tree Road. At this point also, we're looking at a lot of surplus of material on the market with the understanding that they have a lot of water, can't get it off with the weather conditions we've been dealing with for the last, almost 8 months. So I think that fits well, goes well to allow work to be done and completed before moving forward with additional forestry related projects on the ownership. Further on in the work schedule, as I said, it's going to be somewhat work to be done early in the work schedule, then there's going to be gaps in the middle where we're still waiting for these other projects that were done in, like, say, 2017 and 2018 to be at that 10-year point, to be wanting to go back into them again. So the program is going to be more active in the early and more active in the end of the 10-year schedule. So you'll see that, and again, I'm sure we can discuss this over time. Again, I know there's a lot to provide at once, but I figured it would start the necessary dialogue, and we need to continue the dialogue, in future board meetings. No problem on my end to do so. The bottom line is the lands were managed for some time and then not managed for decades, really, between that point of management until we started 10 years ago. It's amazing where the forest has come. And just looking forward to where we can take it in the next 10 years.
So, can I ask a question? I assume that this is the update to the 10-year plan.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, let me ask you this, because you have not invoiced us yet for the 10-year plan. Are you be able to provide us with another really nice green binder for this next 10 years?
Sure.
You're good, man. Next question.
I knew it was coming.
Yeah, so, I really appreciate it.
Well, I know what you do with that. That's why I want to make sure you do it.
I don't know what's in the last 10 years, but anyways, I'm just gonna look at it.
Yes.
You will plan on coming back then at some point to address the committee when it's appropriate to engage in pioneer forestry then with the next set of
Yep.
relevant items.
Yes, I felt it made sense to, to kind of start the dialogue here. And then we will, whatever makes sense, yes, I will come back here and discuss the situation further after everybody's had a chance to do whatever they see fit with this and that. Make sure everybody's comfortable before moving forward. Yes, I would say that makes the most sense.
Thank you. And the timber sale that's on Hobday Road for 2022, it says sold but not harvested, it's sold and paid for but not harvested. Yeah.
There is no outstanding sales on the ownership that have not been paid for in full. We just gave them more time to complete the harvesting due to inclement weather and poor ground conditions, to say the least. Yeah. I would say the only other caveat to consider, only a couple things. The invasive species that got brought up, some issues with gypsy moth and other species of insects or any kind of other diseases. We need to understand as landowners that, global markets are great, but these issues with insects are going to get worse, not better. It is coming down the line. Gypsy moth did have a minor effect, and it's actually in the plan, and it's actually talking in here, if you look at it, and the old road situation to evaluate the gypsy moth damage in stand 1 in early summer of this year, it did get the full. It's really the only area in the ownership that has a pretty concentrated oak component in the one section, and it defoliated. Now, we're going to have to evaluate the AMAS situation and decide, it's very limited on what you're going to do with something of that size. It can stand about 28% size. So it's very difficult to treat something of that small size, aerially. I mean, it could be done, but it's really kind of cost prohibitive. So what we need to do is look at that and decide, what results we're getting from that, this summer. Because really, to understand the gypsy moth defoliation, I know I've talked a little bit about the past here, but one defoliation helps you treat it normally sustain, 2, not so much. So if we get 2 major defoliations in a row, we may have to be adaptive in this program. that's why the plan is just a guide, and that's why it mentions that, but understanding the fact that what the effects of gypsy moth, I mean, emerald ash borer had a serious change to our original program. I mean, it was, massively had to change. But again, knowing where you have what, how to potentially deal with it, that's the key. Hemlock really indulged it, there's a new one, I just treated some trees and forgot it. And they have it, there's no doubt about it, they have it. And so we don't have a tremendous hemlock component on the ownership, but you have some. And understanding that situation, that material will die in a couple seasons after it hits it. So all of these factors will come in, and the plan actually took relatively than the first one, the plan here took a more in-depth look and provided more information on forest pests, seeing the dramatic change that it had on our original schedule. So that being said, there's probably only one other thing that I would like to mention, just to start the conversation, is the county ownership has an extensive deer population. And that deer population is negatively affecting what trees are growing on the ownership. And it was mentioned in the original plan, and it's kind of mentioned even stronger in this one. And I don't know what options are available to the county, but maybe some assistance with the deer management assistance program, providing extra permits available for hunters to capitalize on. These issues, again, aren't going to go away without some kind of this understanding of the issue and how the county wants to approach it.
I've got an idea for you, if you'd be interested. I've got a couple of good contacts at the DEC, maybe you can reach out to them and see if that's something that the county can get their hands on, so it's DMAP.
The DMAP requirement is management. You have that plan. Now, what I haven't told anybody who didn't want to until spoke with the folks is what they'll let the county do as far as getting extra permits. But that's to read the deer management assistance program criteria. It's 100 acres in a forest management. You have that information. You have that ability. Now, how to get it out to the public, or how to, maybe that's another discussion, or how it needs to be done.
Safety and, yeah, exactly right.
Exactly. It's just, I guess I wanted to lay the seed here, just to understand that these issues are ongoing, and it's not going to change without control. And again, it's not elimination, folks. It's just
I contacted him an idea on how to manage that out.
perfect. Loved it. That's why I wanted to mention it. I figured somebody would have some things, and we've mentioned it before, and it's hard to implement and control, but I think the more we can do in that regard, will be better for the ownership over time.
And then whenever you find out, we can talk about it in another meeting.
That's my homework. You give me that, what you do, and then I'll have some kind of information in place with them to be able to talk with about this, and then maybe that particular situation, depending on what we take. Makes sense?
Okay.
Awesome.
Sounds like a plan to me.
I know we don't have a lot of stuff out here. I know it was fast and a lot of stuff, but we surely can continue this conversation at any point in time. But a lot to give you in a short time to do it.
We will all have these documents to look at, and certainly Cheryl will have a major plan, and actually the last one, so you can tie it together at your interest level, and carry forth and see that we're doing a good job of managing all the county forest land. Much better than it was 15, 20 years ago, when it was largely ignored. So, and anything else? I see nobody's got any questions. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate you coming on very much. Talk to you again. Moving on in the agenda. Next on the list is soil and water with Al Fagan. Al?
Good morning, everybody. Start by saying, try my hardest every fall to reduce some of the deer population on the county forest land. So I'm trying. No, first I wanted to introduce Rebecca Campbell. She's one of our technicians. She's been around for a couple of years. I know most of you probably met her, but for those of you who haven't, this is Rebecca, and she'll be reporting on our most recent flow book closeout. So once I get done with my little report here on the CAFO waste storage and transfer program closeout that we recently completed. We worked with Shrike Farms over the past few years to implement a waste storage and transfer system on their farm. It was at the point where the farm only had, I believe, 3 months of waste storage available to them. You know, which of course led to winter spreading and spreading on frozen saturated ground. So the intention of the CAFO waste storage and transfer program was to basically implement more waste storage so that farms could get up to at least 6 months of waste storage. So while we're going to get through, and with this year being something of an exception with the weather, get through some of the worst months. So that was it's a great project. It was actually built in 2020, but finished up some things this year. Resulted in 3.2 million gallons of waste storage being built on that farm, additional gallons of waste storage. The total cost on that project was around $784,000. And the cost share rate on that was 47% state funds and then 53% landowner funds. So really it was a great project. It went pretty smoothly for the most part. You know, I was glad to, Brian Anders is great to work with. I was happy, I guess, now looking back to get to work with Gus Youngers one last time. So I think overall they're very satisfied with that project, and so are we, and we move on to the next one. So any questions for me on that particular grant closeout? No. I'll let Becca run through full stuff.
Right, as Dale said, I'm Rebecca Campbell, one of the technicians over at Sun and Water. I'm just here with you guys today to talk about our fiscal year 2018-2019 Finger Lakes Lake Ontario Watershed Protection Alliance report. So pretty much Sun and Water is part of the Finger Lakes Lake Ontario Protection Alliance because 50% or 52% actually of our watershed is drained to the Genesee River and inevitably Lake Ontario. For this fiscal year, we were allotted $89,200 to use towards agricultural best management practices, stream bank stabilization projects, hydro seeding, road ditch stabilization, education outreach, and then technical assistance. So I'm just going to kind of go through a couple of the projects that are in here. We did complete the first project I'll go through, we completed in 2020, which was a stream bank stabilization on the Buffalo Creek. It was with the Erie Wyoming Joint Board, which I'm not going to go into that, but pretty much we have a partnership with Erie County to work on projects in the Buffalo Creek. And particularly this one was in the town of Sheldon. It was 250 feet of stream bank stabilization, 700 tons of rock, and it was on agricultural land to protect a farm field. The landowner seemed really pleased with all of that, and it still looks great today. We'll go out and check out it once in a while. The second project was also in 2020. That was a silage leachate repair, basically a repair to the silage leachate management system that the farm had. Kind of just more, that was directed more towards preventing any of the runoff going runaway, impacting the water quality. Moving into 2021, we started the year off with a stream crossing on on Sheldon Creek in the town of Sheldon for Mast Farms. That involved the installation of 2 culverts, which we did pay for the culverts, and the landowner supplied some time and the remainder of the cost. Again, that was to protect the water quality, prevent the farm from driving equipment through the creek itself. And, you know, they seemed pretty happy with that. It has also survived 3 major rain events, so I think it's not going anywhere. We also installed a streamway stabilization in the town of Eagle. That was again on an agricultural field to protect, we don't want any landowners using any more land than they already do. That one was about 15 feet of cut banks, and it was severely eroding, worse than many of our other sites. So that was through this program, and it was for Wesley Capital Company. Then one of our last ones is the Holiday Road Ditch Stabilization Project, which was 540 feet of ditch rock lining, regrading. The road is extremely steep, and at a 9% slope, it just seemed that we were losing there was a lot of sedimentation from that project. So we worked with the town of Watershed Highway Department and got that all taken care of. They provided the in-kind services, and we provided the cost of rock. Some other stuff that I'll just go through real quick is we spend a lot of time doing technical assistance for landowners in the county, be it computer related maps, stuff of that kind. We also spend a lot of time surveying, permitting. So that's just some other stuff that's involved in this program that's not necessarily like a whole project. And then this year we also completed 5.5 acres of hydroseeding throughout the county, some private and some more public. And as far as the numbers go, I just ran like a quick leverage funds number, and for the 89,200 that the state contributed, there was 28,000 landowner contribution, which is about 31% of the cost share rate. So, we're putting in about 70% and the landowners are contributing 31% to get all these projects done. Does anyone have any questions about anything?
Things for the committee. Audience. Hearing none, thank you both very much for your reports.
I just give a little update.
Anything more you'd like to add?
Sure.
Appreciate it.
I'll just wanted to give kind of a yearly wrap up of everything that we accomplished this year. It'll come out in our annual report. We get a lot flashier than we stand up here gathering, but for what it's worth, just want to run through some of the things, both non-ag projects that we completed as well as agricultural projects. I guess one of the first things to note is that we said so long to Greg McCurth after 41 years of conservation in Washington County and beyond. It's kind of funny that there's actually 3 past employees of his sitting in the room today, rather than just us 2. So, yeah, sad to see Greg go, but I think he was right. I think he's enjoying retirement from what I hear. So,
I've seen it on Facebook.
oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure you're right.
I think so. Yeah. So to get into our projects that we did complete this year, as far as the non-ag projects go, probably one of the biggest ones that we completed was the removal and replacement of the pipe dam. Ripping out the old dam and replacing it with a grade control structure. And I guess the whole point of that was not only for safety, but it also connected 25 miles of the Wiskoy Creek for trout up and down the street. The dam before was something of a barrier if the water levels weren't quite right. So now those fish can go up and downstream all they want. So that was a big one. Cold Creek project that Becca mentioned, 250 feet of stream stabilization, which reduces sediment to the Genesee River. Cold Creek, we don't have much of a watershed in the county, but some of it does go into Allegheny County from here and then onto the Genesee River. Holiday Road Ditch Project, again, 540 feet of road ditch stabilization, helping reduce sediment in the Wiskoy Creek. We completed about 5 acres of Japanese knotweed management. We've been really kind of trying to ramp up our invasive species management program, really focusing on knotweed. So we did complete 5 acres of management of that, and there's probably a lot more to go. So helped several landowners that all land along the Wacker Creek from Warsaw to, up to Wyoming pretty much. Move numerous log jams up through there. You know, those log jams, they bind up the creek and then the water wants to flow into the next bank and cause more erosion. So not only did it help reduce erosion, but it also, you know, allowed the flows to go better. I mean, everybody knows how well that section likes to flood out every year, so hopefully it helped a little bit. We completed 15 macroinvertebrate samples that were collected across 7 watersheds in the county. What that does is it's building a baseline for us to start seeing where the water quality in these different watersheds is at. Macroinvertebrates are small bugs in the stream that, you know, certain species provide a good indicator whether you have good water quality or bad water quality. So we'll probably be continuing that as well. Completed 22 culvert assessments across the county. Those culvert assessments, the main reason for that is to assess those culverts for fish passage. It happens to be on a stream where fish can move up and down, seeing if they can move up or down the stream or not. It also is creating an inventory for us so that we can say, okay, if this culvert is damaged or clogged or whatever, we can hopefully down the road work with the town highway departments to see about replacing those. As Becca also said, we completed 5.5 acres of hydroseeding this year. We assisted 3 different schools with environmental education, and we, you know, pretty much worked with just about every town in the county one way or another to work on something, or try to make progress on something. So, as far as non-ag projects, that's synopsis. As far as agricultural projects go, we did complete 4 waste storages this year for a total of 9.25 million gallons of waste storage that was created. That was across 3 watersheds. So that's always good. Helps with nutrient management within the watersheds. We implemented almost 1,200 acres of cover crops, mostly in the Genesee River Basin. We did complete the agricultural stream crossing that Becca had mentioned as well. We expanded a pond that serves as a water supply for a farm over in Shelton. That particular farm, the water supply is very poor, so our hope is that by expanding the pond, it gives them more retention, more water for their animals. We completed a micro irrigation system. And then AEM, I know I talk about AEM from time to time, agricultural environmental management. We spent, just in 2021, spent over 1,500 hours working with different farms to document, the good things that they're doing for the environment, as well as helping them plan, what practices they might want to do in the future to help improve water quality even further. We completed 125 solar worksheets. Completed the review of Ag District 5, assisted 7 farms with the purchase of development rights program. And then one of the most notable things, we did have one of our local farms here in Wyoming County recognized and awarded with the 2021 New York State AEM Leopold Conservation Award. That was Table Rock Farm. So that was a pretty big deal for us and pretty exciting. So in a nutshell, that was 2021. I guess looking forward to next year. We have about 14 agricultural projects that will need to be completed through various ag markets programs. We're looking at about 5 stream bank detection projects. One of them being quite a major project that we're excited to get started on. We're going to continue to expand our invasive species management program, as well as the water quality monitoring program. And then the technicians have actually began developing a roadside ditch seeding program that we're going to roll out next year, hopefully to help some of these town highway departments after they clean a ditch, be able to get it seeded down to stop erosion. Other things to look forward to are another Ag District review coming up, as well as working on the Ag Farmland Protection Plan. And then, we'll just continue applying for funding for a variety of ag projects and whatever else gets thrown our way. So never ends. We're just going to keep going.
Any further questions from the committee? Hearing none, thank you very much for your report. You certainly had a busy 21. Sounds like you're going to have a busy 22. And at this point, what I would like to do here is diverge slightly from the agenda and add item number 3 to the agenda because we have a special guest with us today. Fresh from Albany, New York, and representing soil and water again is Mrs. Bethany Fiscal. Beth started out here in Wyoming County as a water quality technician. She then moved down into the regional area in the same vein with soil and water, and then ultimately has landed a position down there in Albany with non-point source pollution, where she monitors everything that we send her down there and sends back lots of money. So that's always a good thing. And Beth, as I said, I made her item number 3 here on the agenda. She truly is number 3. She's my third daughter, for those of you that don't know. And I thought maybe because she was home for the week, waiting for a Christmas present, which isn't going to show up until New Year's Eve, she'd like to come in and maybe give you a very brief overview of what's in store for us all down there in Albany. We would
Sure.
love to have you step up and offer whatever insight you might have.
Hello, everybody. I'm happy to be here as a guest today and a member of your audience. My name is Bethany Fiscal, and I am a former employee of Fredericksburg. I got my career start at Wyoming County Soil and Water Conservation District. And just as Dad said, my path kind of took me over to Albany, where I now work with the Department of Agriculture and Markets. I manage 3 of our cost share programs that we run that provides cost share assistance to farms all across the state by way of soil and water conservation districts. I guess back in the end of November, Governor Hochul announced the award of approximately $14 million to 91 farms across the state to support environmental stewardship and promote water quality practices. That funding comes about usually once a year, so we wrapped up that one, and hopefully we're starting to work on our next round of funding, which could be announced anytime. But these programs are really important to support the environmental stewardship on farms. But we can only do so much in the state. It's your county soil and water conservation districts that actually are out there applying for these funds and getting these projects on the ground. So they are really the ones that make these projects, programs successful and allow us to keep going with these rounds year after year. Well, thank you all for allowing me to listen in. It's nice to be back in these chambers.
Put her on the spot, and if any of you would like to ask her a burning question that could also stun her, you can feel free.
Bethany, is there any money down there to help with the dredging of the Silver Lake outlet?
Oh, I don't know, that might be a BC question. I don't know.
Perhaps you can carry the message down there, and get it to the right people. We need more money for that project. It's a big one for us, very SNL, as well as the county being involved. Perkins is, although Steve Perkins is also retired from the county, we retain him as a special, I'm not sure exactly what his title is, but he's predominantly involved with the dredging project because he's been involved with it for so long. So we are trying to move that forward as slowly as it does seem to want to go. So any help that you can be down there, we certainly be appreciated.
Well, I'll just say that all of our programs, the ones that I'm involved with, and Some of the programs that DEC is involved with are funded through the Environmental Protection Fund that the state allocates money to every year. So if anyone has the opportunity to advocate for the continued support of that fund, you know, that reaches a lot of foster programs for a lot of industries across the state.
Good. Good.
Thank you.
Seeing no hands, thank you very much for coming. And just so you don't feel left out, Bethany rode over here today with my granddaughter, Riley Wolfhanger. Riley is currently a freshman at Morrisville. She recently brought home an award from the National FFA convention that was held in Columbus, no,
Indianapolis.
all right, Indianapolis, yes. Would you mind stepping up there and telling us what that award was for?
So, hi, my name's Riley. This is my grandfather. So I was in FFA in high school. I'm currently a freshman in college. And while I was in FFA in high school, I had a high school project, which is a supervised agriculture experience. I ran a sunflower business, and that's what I did my project on. My sunflower business is over on Silver Lake. And so I had to fill out an application, and I ran to Golden State, which then brought me onto the national ranking, and I ranked bronze in the nation, so I had to attend the FFA national convention, and I got a bronze award for my essay proficiency. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've been intimately involved with developing her idea and her little business there with cut flowers, both grown there on the farm and the floral arrangements that the girls do. They've done a great job. I'm sure if you follow them at all, they're on Facebook and all that neat stuff. You can look up all kinds of things about them and see the kind of work they do. And yeah, you'd be proud of them too. Because
I can attest to that. I'm a recipient of one of those. Beautiful, thank you.
So anyways, moving on in the agenda. Thank you, Ronnie, for that quick report. Sorry to put you on the spot.
That's fun.
Yeah, so anyway, let's move on, and next on the agenda is cooperative extension with Abby Griffin. Oh, I see you, John Hudson.
Yes, I'm kind of pitch hitting for Abby today, so she's been under the weather over the holidays here. I can say that I attest that she's really under the weather because I was under the weather last week, so we just we keep rolling with the punches and getting things done. Abby shared a copy of our annual report, and I'm not going to go through reading in detail that, but I think a lot of what our work in the last year has been is really partnering with other agencies in the county, partnering with the health department. The response to the pandemic throughout 2020 has been a big part of what we've done. Also did some partnering to help keep some of the farmland protection project stuff going while we were waiting for Jim Bragg to come on board this fall. And so that has been a lot of the work in agriculture has been in those partnerships, and of course our 4-H program. I can't say enough about how well our staff has done at finding ways to engage you throughout periods of shutdown, periods of not being able to bring people together, which is what a lot of our youth programming is about, but yet making sure that we found a way to provide resources to families to continue to move forward. We were excited to be able to be back at the fair, of course, again this year. And really, I think our youth did an outstanding job keeping projects on the go and also learning life skills through our programs this past year. And then for the Northwest New York team that I work with as well, we are soon to be back in early February to full strength as a team again. We are fortunate that Jody Putnam who had been with the team, left us to take a position in Tennessee. That did not work out. We were still working on filling the position that she left, and so she is going to be rejoining our team in early February to fill up the field craft side of things. I guess the thing that was most exciting in 2021 for us, there are a couple of the things were, one, our congresses. Those crop congresses are important to growers who need to get pesticide credits. They really help to provide that education link and back to the faculty. But one of the things that was really fortunate for us, having to go virtual, we had sort of put a number out there. We sort of gathered around and said, we think we get about 150 people to participate. We had over 230 participate in corn congress and a similar number in the soybean and small grain congress a month later, and delivered that in 2 half-day sessions online. And we're really glad in light of where numbers are and current health statistics are that we've made the decision to move forward with that virtually for 2022, but making the option available that if there are people who feel less comfortable engaging through technology, that they can come to the Ag Center and participate virtually right there, and one of our staff will be there to assist them through that. So that is a kind of a hybrid model that we're moving to. But the other really cool thing about it is, you know, bringing in speakers from far and wide is a lot cheaper to do via Zoom than it is when you fly them in and put them up and move them around for 2-3 days. So that has been a good for us as far as the team, and we were able to maintain our revenue stream for those programs through some sponsorships from Ag Business, which were quite successful. The other area, of course, is we have a new dairy management specialist on board, and I can say that Caitlin Lutz is making her presence known here in Wyoming County. Producers are calling on her for translational work on a steady basis in the dairy skills training area. And so she is making her mark already here in the county, and it's hit the ground running since she joined us in September. So that's just a quick overview, and I will throw it out for any questions you might have.
Anything from the committee?
No, I just like to say, I read the full reports. I thought they were great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Certainly a testament to the innovation that the staff has at Culvert Extension to pull out a successful year like that. You know, I'm always impressed when I go to the fair and see these products, what's been planted for the last 12 months. So very impressive.
Thank you, thank you. I will extend that back to the 4-H staff and to Abby. You know, and I have to say myself, working with Abby, she's been a great addition to our team. And you know, kind of hit the ground 2 weeks prior to the start of this pandemic, and it has made her way through things. So we certainly appreciate the support we receive from all of you. And we'll continue to look for partnerships that we can engage in on behalf of the county, both locally and outside the county. And then I'm going to share just a little preview that we have to keep quiet until next Thursday.
I don't know how that's gonna work out.
But next Thursday, myself and American Farmland Trust will be accepting the promotion award at the Ag Society meeting for the our farmers, our water, our future exhibition and online photo essay that has been developed with American Farmland Trust through the work of photographer Rebecca Drobus, who's a nationally renowned photographer who's visited our county multiple times and almost feels like one of us at this point in time. But pretty excited to be able to share that. And so that display that premiered at the Arts Council this summer will be on display in Syracuse next week, pending the meeting moving forward as we hope it will. Been back and forth with Ann Noble Shepherd a number of times on that, but that's where that is going. So that's going to showcase some of what we've got going on here locally, and will be able to be promoted for us to be able to share our story, to hopefully help others understand how much agriculture works, to protect water quality, to protect the environment, and to do the right things, in the community.
So maybe you could talk a little bit more about it next month.
Yes, we will talk more about it next month.
Yeah, because I think it's really, it's cool.
So, anyways, with that, I will continue unless there's anything else until.
So you mentioned partnerships and from the last directors meeting there, I think there's something going on actually with the town of Orangeville in cooperative extension with 4-H team. I think there's going to be some improvements coming through with that cooperation.
I would like to echo Supervisor Ramirez's comments about how I'm saying. And always been so supportive of this extension program. This is kind of last meeting of this chair and the opportunity to thank you what you've done for me. I honor entire county.
Well, thank you. We will keep that moving forward. And just as a side note, just so that nobody here is surprised at any point in time, I know Alicia and Don Roberts are working hard to get things rectified with the entry door to the Ag and Business Center. And so if people should run into snags with that supposedly beautiful automatic system we have, it's on the fritz. We'll just say that right now, and we're working our way through that. So, but if people know of groups that have, especially outside groups, that have people coming in, we might want to have just remind them to check in the day or day before the meeting to see how things are progressing on getting that work done. I know we are fortunate to have a group that works over there as a pretty good team, and so we appreciate that, but I just don't like anybody to get surprised if they get there and think they can wander in and they can't because the door's not working properly. Right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Don. Appreciate your report. Sam and Zach over there working on that. Okay, moving on to the agenda. Next on the page here is the community report. Item number 1, the results of the PDC's holiday opt-out proposal. Well, obviously, the public comment period closed on November 14th. There was no decision by the DEC to do anything, so if you haven't noticed, there are hunters back in the field this week. I've seen several pickup trucks in my neighborhood that are beside the road and so forth and so on, and the hunt is back on for at least this week. You also see here that there were a couple of public comments, right?
Well, there were comments to the county about it.
Okay. And so anyway, the hunt is on, it'll be over with it, a couple more days, and that'll be that. But there's always next year to try and decide about it. So moving on, animal control, do you have any kind of report or anything? No report from animal control this month. Although she was here last month, you remember, and gave us a nice report. She doesn't really come back to work till next, 17th of January. So we'll be looking forward to having her back full time. Ag and farmland protection. Okay, we have number 1 here, the appointment, the reappointment to the Agriculture and Farmland Protection Board. We have a vacancy, unfortunately. Greg Sanders, Scott Youngers passed away and was a member of that Farmland Protection Board. I guess I've had conversation with Cheryl that obviously we are making this public that we have a vacancy here. I'd like to charge you supervisors with coming up with some names that might be instrumental. Obviously, maybe the Farmland Protection Board might even know.
You think about Justice son Brian, the same area, but is that going to be a conflict with their application?
It wouldn't be a total conflict with their application, but I also know that, Chris Fiscal, that you made mention of an interest, and they've been through that process all the way. So that's another possibility, but either one of those, I think, would do a fine job. Yes, we'll have the same conflict of interest stuff, no matter who goes into those farmer positions. Just because we just have to work our way through them as we work through the applications.
I was just thinking, get somebody from the same area that Gus is from. That
Yeah.
So,
And I think he was one of the, was he the representative from Farm Bureau? Rather than just a straight farmer rep, that's the other question.
No,
Okay.
according to my notes, he was just,
Okay,
yeah.
I have it at home, but
Sheet, but from Bureau, somebody else.
okay, great, thank you, I just,
so today, the purpose of this is to just let everyone know, we do have this vacancy open. If you have an idea, who the next chairman will be here, will be Becky. You can certainly discuss this amongst yourselves, and perhaps by next month, have a name for you to vote on. But for now, we'll leave it at that. This vacancy is open. Nothing under conservation, Mr. Roach, nothing under fair. We will move on to the last page where we talk about the dairy industry. And, to be quite honest, I don't have a whole lot. This month, I had not had an upstate directors meeting this month because of the holiday schedule. We don't have our December meeting until the 1st of January or so. And so a couple of things I picked up on is that milk production has started to decline. There's been some sort of shift globally as well as nationally. I believe I reported on national change in milk production last month. That continues. I think that is starting to have an effect on price. If you watch the price of milk these days, it is heading upwards at a fairly rapid pace. But so that's always a good thing. Makes everybody smile. Be looking forward to a better 22 for prices for the dairy farmers. Another thing that I picked up on the other day was it was in counties in the news. Seneca County had released a report on ag, and they have something known as an ag enhancement plan. And Jim Wright, this is for you. I don't know if you have seen that they released this plan and they're going to be making it public. There's a couple of public meetings going to be had either in January where you might be in attendance or at least virtually or any of the committee members to understand what it is they put in that plan. It really, the news clip did not really say, it was very brief, that this ag enhancement plan in Seneca County and how, but I thought we ought to be paying attention to it. It ought to be something that, not wanting to reinvent the wheel, what are they doing, and maybe we ought to be doing, or maybe we're already doing it, but to pay attention to what they've been talking about, and so we stay at the forefront of this sort of thing as well. So something we'll look forward to here in January, see, and maybe when we're down there to we might be able to talk with somebody from that neck of the woods when we're done with the egg thing here on the 7th or 6th, I guess it is. So other than that, Jim, you had, I don't know, maybe put that under green energy.
energy, yeah.
We could move to the green energy committee meeting, and Jim had a couple of comments about energy and solar and so on and so forth.
I had a message, text messages from a local farmer that had a digester for 15 years, and they replaced the motor, something on the digester. And when they went to re-up it with NISAC, they told them that was like a new installation. And he'd have to get in line behind the solar projects that were proposed. So they told him they couldn't put him online with his digester if these solar projects went ahead. He was not very happy. He's had the digester for 15 years and all he did was change the motor, the generator on the digester. And these solar projects are something that are, proposed. I mean, we have no proposal formally for the town for them. There's just some rumors of where they've been looking at some land close to that substation on 28.
Some all the time, some all the time.
The state is pushing this so hard.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they don't have any plan. They don't even know how they're gonna supply the electricity for all the electric cars. There's just no forethought in this, and it's ridiculous. And, perfect example, right here, you're young,
Producing.
green, yeah. Green, now we're gonna cut him off because they want the solar panels. Well, you know what? I just can't stand to push on this, You're right. Yeah, no plans, just jump off the cliff and hope somebody catches it.
We've had this conversation a number of times. Where is the electricity coming to charge the electric cars? Where's
The
that?
solar panels, they want to put up on the front, okay?
That, well, okay, how much planning's gone into that? Is that gonna be enough? When everybody plugs their car in Los Angeles, where's the electricity coming from?
They don't have enough to light the houses, how they gonna light how they gonna run the cars?
All heard it in the summertime, heat out in Los Angeles, brownouts, don't have enough electricity to run the air conditioning. Now we're gonna plug in 5 million cars.
And they're making the laws to outlaw the combustion engine.
Yeah.
But we haven't put anything in effect to supply the electricity. And when I went to we were in NICEAG in September, you asked them down there about it, downstate politicians. The federal government helps out.
Yeah.
Well, they're not helping California, they didn't help Texas when they froze up 2 years ago in the winter. Are they doing infrastructure down there? No. Why are they gonna come to New York State and do this infrastructure?
Did you have funny, but it's funny.
It's ridiculous.
Well, of course, the other thing that's going on is the whole idea of companies coming in and putting in many digesters and gathering manure from many farms. It's the company of the week that Al or I hear from that want a list of how do we get a hold of all the farms in the county, and we kind of sidestep it a little bit sometimes because farmers don't need all of these companies knocking on their door every other week either. That's the.
Is this different than the company that's taking the methane and the iron and scrubbing it?
That's the same type of company, yeah, there's literally dozens of those companies from around the world looking to get their foot in the door.
Because New York State is offering millions.
Incentive.
Subsidized one. Our tax dollars to go this route, and there's just no, follow the science, there's no science in it.
If you, let me just share this with you. To back up what Brian said about the plant. Town of Arcade, we've been working for 3 years at least on a wind project, the Alley Cat wind project. It's all set to go. We're waiting for final approval. There's been some resistance to a couple of towns in Catarocts County. So I got a call from a local realtor who was the front man for one of the solar projects, solar companies. And they had identified some property that fell within the footprint of the wind project. So they both were at the same meeting, kind of town board meeting. So I said to the solar guy, of course, he's brand new, he just walked in, and the realtor, Dave Zilker. And I said, how's this gonna work with these windmills spinning over the solar panels? Oh, he goes, we never even thought about that. There you go.
Yeah.
He hasn't been back since, this was months ago. So as you said, and that's right here in Wyoming County, what do you think's going on nationwide or statewide?
I see politicians, we're gonna show the world, New York State, we're gonna show the world how to reverse climate change.
The Empire State.
Well, how are we gonna reverse climate change if we're never gonna reverse it? The fact of life, the Earth's rotation cycles, never gonna reverse climate change. You can slow it down, maybe we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't,
Take some steps.
but you got the science, give me some facts. It says this, raise your hand, it's gonna burn the world up. Well, 40 years ago, it was the hairspray and the ozone. Did the ozone fix itself? 40 years ago, it wasn't gonna fix itself. It's never gonna repair itself, so is that what is causing global warming? Is it the ozone? They don't talk about it.
Never hear about the ozone.
They don't talk about it anymore.
Everybody would use an hairspray, that's why.
So anyway, to try and encapsulate this whole conversation, I think it's going to spill over into planning. Jim, you know, it's all about planning. You've heard it several times here. There's no plan. We gotta have a plan, right? Oh yes, and you're the man that's gonna do it for us here in Wyoming County. So we're all looking forward to great things from you in the coming years. So you've got your job cut out for you, and God bless you.
Stan, just one other point to
Sure.
corroborate what Joan said about these developers looking for farmers. The Steve Zilker, of course, was a farmer in Chias, if you know who he was, big farmer, sold out. He's running a farm now, but of course, he knows a lot of people, and he got into the real estate business. And these developers come in, and this is like the second or third time that he's had a different developer for different things, not just solar. And first, he comes to me right away, and, you know, and, but that's how these guys get in the front doors. They've got somebody that knows, has a relationship with the ag community. So, and you're never gonna get away with that, but I appreciate you sidestepping the, the list. I'll go find it themselves.
Yeah.
And every month when the wind mill representative, when a project representative comes, I go, did you bring in the check? No, okay, well, that's good enough. No more from you today.
So, okay, so lots more to keep track of.
Just getting started, Stan. Just getting started.
2022, so. Anything else?
Okay. I would just like to thank Supervisor Klein for chairing this committee. You added a lot and contributed a lot. And it was funny as I was sitting here today and with Bethany and Riley and Jim and you and I think I need to do a shout out to Paris Central High. Because I think we're all products of that. But thank you very much, Stan. You contributed a lot for a lot to the table. And I look forward to seeing what other things you're going to do.
It has certainly been my privilege.
And-
Absolutely my privilege.
And your family too.
Yeah.
Done well.
Thank you very much, Becky. Appreciate it.
Period.
Yes.
Well, you're, have to work on all that stuff.
I think it adds a lot to the committee meeting.
It absolutely does.
Well, for all the things that Wyoming County is, you know, we need to keep in mind that where our bread is buttered. And it is in agriculture, it is the biggest business in this county as well as others. And I know I tried to read that report from Seneca County talking about how many millions and how many acres and so on and so forth. And I know we rank above them in many areas. So it is hugely important to us to maintain a very viable agricultural community. And there are people like that young lady back there and her sister and a lot of her folks like her, they are the future here. And I very much appreciate that Perry High School has reinvigorated its FFA program. And within a couple of years, you got somebody that's bringing a national award back here and bringing recognition to Wyoming County and so forth. That, you know, we all really should be proud of them here. And I know all of you are, I'm preaching to the choir here. And anybody else that happens to maybe be listening, I hope they hear it too. So if I don't hear anything from anybody else,
We need to be proud of who we are.
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Declare the meeting adjourned. Thank you for coming. See you this afternoon. So.